Okay, so some of you probably know me already. We've met in person in the past, or we're recently in contact before because of this book of mine. But let me quickly introduce myself. I was first introduced to Babaji and his teachings by Leonard Orr in 1982 in Poland. So those of you who knew Leonard probably remember how passionate he was about Babaji, and he would talk about Babaji all the time. So, you know, it was impossible to ignore. And also the first group of rebirthers who came to Poland in the early 1980s, these were all Babaji's devotees. This is how the presence of Babaji kind of strengthens in my life. In 1986, I had the pleasure to visit with Leonard in United States, and on his invitation, I also went with him for a trip to India, and I had a privilege to visit Hairakan and Chilianola and a little trek in the Himalayas, stuff like this. At the time, I also translated the teachings of Babaji to Polish. I believe this translation is still being used in Polish ashrams. Then a few years later, in 1989, I emigrated to Canada. And for a good 20 years or so, I practically lost contact with Babaji community, with the exception that, you know, every so often I would visit ashrams, such as I visit Polish ashrams. I visited Schwalbenalp, I believe, in 2004, and I had the pleasure to visit with Jura Mloti in Creston. This is a very fine place, and I hope to visit with you again. But, you know, in spite of this distance from the community, Babaji's teaching stayed with me for these 40 years, and were, in a sense, my guidelines, and these are the values that I hold very dearly and try to manifest in my own life. The values of truth, simplicity, and love, and a few others. So in May of last year, I had the chance to speak about Babaji during a theological conference, and this was well received, and I thought maybe this would be a good moment to try to put teachings Babaji in a more concise way, in a format that would help to introduce the Babaji teachings to people who have never heard about him. So this is basically the motivation behind this book, on which I worked over the last year, and that was eventually printed early this year. This is more or less what I would like to say about myself at this point. If you have any questions, I would be happy to answer.
I have a question.
Okay.
What can you describe your heart?
Okay, stop it.
Like your dog can describe.
Yes.
Just what touched your heart when you anything, just us merely just knew in your whole being that it was the right path to follow and the right teachings for you.
I apologize about the dog. I'm not quite sure what triggers him right now. Stop it. Można cię go zawołać? Sorry about this. Yeah, I believe there is something in Babaji's teachings, basic simplicity of his teachings, that always found a way to my heart. It seems I sense true. You don't hear anything because of
maybe you can sit on that question for a while if you want to put the dog elsewhere, or
yes.
because I would
Sorry.
like to hear what you're saying. Or maybe the dog is going to be quiet now.
He seems to be a bit calmer right now. Yeah, and I had a sense of connection with Babaji, not only on intellectual level, but I have never met him in person. I didn't have this privilege, but he visited me in a couple of dreams. These were very meaningful dreams. And I had maintained this sense of connection with Baba for all these 40 years.
Thank you. Yeah, Baba is certainly here with all of us. And I think that was sort of it was the reason that I was inspired to start doing this, because I kept hearing from so many new people who never met Babaji that he's always in our hearts and appearing in dreams. And so thank you. Anybody else have a question for Pritam? Otherwise, we can also move on to somebody else. So grateful that you've written this book. I look forward to sharing it.
I may be add 2 words about how I got this name Pritam.
Yes.
In 1986, I had a chance to, while being in America, to meet with Muni Raji and Shastriji. They made a tour of America at the time. And Muni Raji was kind enough to give me this name, which I consider my spiritual name.
And can you explain the meaning that you understand it?
I believe it means beloved, which is, this was very meaningful for me, because I guess when I've heard it, it appealed to this great need inside of me to be loved, and I believe this is more or less a desire of every human being. So in a sense, I believe it meant to me, I am loved by God. Yeah.
Beautiful, thank you. What a beautiful reminder every time you hear that word. Reminder, like all of us, that we're all surrounded by the divine's
by love.
Yes, what a beautiful thing. Thank you. So would somebody else like to share one of their experiences or their story about, okay, Brian.
Am I unmuted?
You are unmuted.
Wonderful. So I will watch my time, because I could speak for hours. So
it can go on, but we'll keep it short this first time so everybody has a chance.
yeah, absolutely. So 5 minutes or less. Story I've not told before anywhere. About 20 years ago. Well, I'll back up a little bit. So I first met Babaji when I was reading autobiography. And I asked him, when I found out about him, I asked, well, how did he mask Yogananda's awareness of who he was? And Babaji gave me an experience in that moment of having my awareness masked. So that was in like 96, I think. And it took several years for me to figure out why I was on this path. And then I don't know where I read it. But somewhere I read that Babaji complained that no one ever asked him for the real thing. So I dropped everything I was doing. I said, I want the real thing. And he's, been dragging me along ever since. And an example of what it's like with him is, it's 20 some years ago, I asked him to stop speaking to me in my head, because he would show up all the time and tell me, look over here, or call this teacher, or, do something. And finally I said, you know what? It needs to happen outside of me, so I know it's actually you, because when it's in me, I feel sometimes I'm just fantasizing. And immediately the world shifted. And this is an example. So I'm living in this really small town in Northern California called Guerneville, and I've got to pay my rent. And I'm down to my last $5, and I have about 1.5 gallons of gas in my car. And I asked Baba, what should I do? And he says, well, you need to go to the casino. But the casino is 20 miles away. So it's going to take every drop of gas I have to get there. And the $5 I have is what it's going to take just to play the machines. And so I start going into panic. And as I start to go into panic, it shifts into calmness. And I'm just totally calm. And I feel like Babaji's in the car with me next to me as I'm driving there. And I'm totally good. And I watch my gas go down to empty. And I get in the casino and I asked him, well, what do I do? And he tells me, don't think, just notice the obvious. And I walk in and I feel an attraction in my body to one of the machines. And so I sit down and I put my $5 in, and in about 5 minutes, I won a couple $100. And, so I walked out and I barely made it to the gas station to get gas. But I got home, and long story short, that was seed money that helped me pay my rent. And I never met Baba before his Mahasamadhi, so I don't have those stories, but it's a perpetual story that I perpetually enjoy. And it's a side of my life that I've not shared before. But this thing that I asked Babaji to teach me, he asked me to teach others. And I've spent the last years trying to figure out how to do that. And for the last year, I've been creating an online mystery school, or college. It's a body language college. And right now I have alpha testers who are going through my classes, and I'm watching to see how they shift and their perceptions shift and change. Well, 3 days ago, my 2 alpha testers told me that they no longer ever feel disconnected at all. They're always connected to life and creator and whatever's going on. And anytime they start to feel a disconnect, it just shifts. They always know what's happening, and they never have a reason to feel disconnected and sad. So they're blown away. They like now want to be teachers. And so 3 days ago when they told me that, I thought, oh, I guess this is finally working. And then the next day I got the invitation to come here and speak. So I thought I should share the story. It felt synchronous. And that's my Babaji story.
Thank you, Brian. It's great. I love it. And the truth is, we are all connected all the time, and we don't acknowledge it. And I think that's, for me, one of the beauties of this time together. It helps me remember. And today, particularly, it's about also acknowledging that whether you met Babaji in physical form or not, that we are equally connected. Very special thing. So thank you. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Any questions for Brian? You have to unmute.
No
And-
questions. Cool.
Yeah. Brian, what is your website in case somebody would like to reach out?
Oh, it's well, there's the YBNL school is the place to start, and it's free. So if you, I'll write it down in chat. If you go to chat, I'll give you the address.
Perfect.
But the school is free, and if any of you have any difficulties or questions, you can contact me there. It's a network. It's not just a static website. It's actually more like Facebook with classes. So you can, yeah, you just join up, and then you can take the classes for free. And if you've got questions, just ask. And if you let me know that you're a devotee, then that'll help frame my answer a little better. Because it's not really set up as an ashram. It doesn't look like that.
Great.
But anyway, it's free. It's not, so come check it out. And, if you've got questions about it, you can ask me there.
Thank you, Brian.
Sure.
Thank you so much for the beautiful story.
Thank you.
I remember a story by Don Kehoe. I don't know if other people remember. Was it Don? Somebody else went to got guided to go to the casino to make money to pay some bill that was outstanding. It's like, it's amazing Babaji's guidance sometimes.
I don't go to a casino anymore because of the pandemic, but I was taking a couple students to go play there, and this machine was glowing, and it was $5. And I'm, I'm not a wealthy guy. Like, I just don't care about money. I'm like always on the edge. And it was $5 a spin. I'm like, I normally spend like 5 cents a spin. I don't want to do it, but it was glowing, and I could just feel Baba saying, put the money in, and so I did. And I'm like, I just gave up. When I did, I'm like, there goes my lunch. Like that's literally what it was. It was my lunch that I was gambling. Pulled the handle, and all the lights and bells went off, and the jackpot spun, and I got $1,500 out of it.
Wow.
It was amazing.
Gamblers.
Yeah.
Anyway, we think
Yeah, gamblers. But I don't like gambling. What I like is connection, and gambling, when you win, it proves that you're connected. It's like instant gratification. So thank you.
okay. We always talk about sending Jonathan to the casino to win money for the ashram, because when Jonathan and Prem and I play cards, he almost always wins. And so might want to send with $5 to the casino. Anyway, so who would like to share their story next? Come so you can see, so Lorraine can see you. Okay, Elaine.
All right, I'll mute myself. I was thinking this morning, it's been almost exactly 30 years since Babaji came into my life, almost to the month. I think it was April of '91. And in looking back, I think I was looking for him my entire life. I remember my dad, when I was a teenager, telling me, you'll never find what you're looking for, so you may as well just settle down and find a nice man. Which I knew I wasn't looking for that, but I didn't know what I was looking for. So I always felt like a little different from people around me. I had some weird experiences as a child, and it was a dream finally when I was 21 that took me to Canada. And there I met my husband and moved to Memphis. And I was then a kind of stepmother to a 10-year-old son who came to live with us when we were married, about a year after we were married. So I was pretty much tied up with family life, but I still had this longing and desire to be on a spiritual path. So I joined, this is now probably in 1990, 89. I joined an ARE study group, a local group, and it's the Association for Research and Enlightenment. And it's an Edgar Cayce study group based on a couple of books, Search for God Book 1 and Search for God Book 2. And it involved doing practical exercises in spirituality every week. Then we would meet on a Sunday and discuss that. So it would be things like maybe sending anonymous notes or gifts to people who you felt could really benefit from them, and, you know, smiling at people you didn't feel like you wanted to smile at, and exercises like that. So one night on a Sunday, everybody was sharing and went around the group. And I had this insight, it was a flash of insight that came through my mind, that I've been with these people for probably 2 years. And I realized I didn't have a heart connection with any of them, that I didn't know anything about them personally. I didn't know about their family lives. We didn't keep in touch between the group. And it was just so clear to me, this isn't what I'm looking for. So actually, that was the last night I ever went there. Within a month, I started having, I noticed that we went to Mardi Gras, so it must have been around this time, maybe April. And I noticed I couldn't catch my breath. And I was having to take huge gulps of air to breathe. And I was really concerned there was something wrong with me. So I went back and I went through all kinds of tests, through traditional medicine, and they said, no, it's psychosomatic, you just have to learn to live with it. So I didn't think anything more of it until at the time my husband and I were in marital counseling. We had a lot of, I don't know, things just weren't great between us. And so the counselor called me and asked me if I would like to go and have my astrology chart read. And I'm like, no, I'm not into astrology. I don't know anything about it. So 2 weeks later, I'm ironing in the kitchen, and this comes into my mind, and I'm thinking, I need to go and get my astrology chart read. So I called him up. He had one spot left with this astrologer who was coming into town. So I go visit with the astrologer. I didn't understand a word he said, and I'm sitting there thinking, what am I doing here? And then at the very end, he asked if I had any questions. I said no, because I didn't even know enough to know what questions to ask. And he said, oh, before you go, I want to tell you that your chart indicates that you're susceptible to breathing difficulties. So my ears pricked up, and I feel goosebumps now as I talk about it. And I'm like, how does he know this? This is like really bizarre. So he said, I can give you the name of somebody who can help you with that. So he writes this name on a piece of paper, hands it to me, and it was literally as if I had been plugged into an electrical outlet. I had surges of energy throughout my whole body. And it was so intense, I knew I had to meet this woman, but I didn't know why. I didn't have any idea. So as soon as I get home, I call her. She doesn't call me back for probably 2 or 3 days. And I explained the situation, and she said, oh, I can help you with that. And what I didn't know then was that she was a rebirther. And back in the early 90s, I had never heard of rebirthing. I didn't know what it was. But I trusted that I had to see this woman. So I turned up, and she explained to me, first of all, she took me to a room that had all of Yogananda's, his altar on an altar of hers, and the rest of the room was bare except for a mat on the floor and a backjack. And I remember noticing the pictures, but at that point, they didn't mean anything to me. So I had this experience in this rebirth that I still really haven't found words to describe. It was what I imagine samadhi to be, but I don't know that. And I came out of it and my head was reeling and just didn't know what had happened to me. She was very matter of fact, didn't really talk about it. So I drive home and then I start having visions of Babaji and dreams, but I didn't know who he was. And it was a really, really tough time for me, actually, because I thought I was losing it for a long time. And I would smell roses all the time. And I would see his face at night. I would wake up and see his face. I'd look in the mirror and I would see his face superimposed over mine, and just a lot of experiences that I didn't understand. It actually turned my whole life upside down, and it was like somebody pulled the foundation of my life out from under me, and I had to find my way without a foundation for a while. But what I did know was that he was with me. And so when I would wonder whether I needed to go to see a doctor about these experiences I was having, I would hear him say, "You're going to be fine, you're going to be fine." And I just kept trusting in that. And my whole life changed. Within 2 years, I went back to school to finish my degree and to get my undergraduate degree in psychology. And I knew I wanted to spend my life serving other people. And then I found out who he was from the big green book with the pictures in it. And that book was mesmerizing to me. So that became a constant companion. I also projected a lot of my mother issues, which I had a lot of, onto my rebirther. So I went through quite a troubling time, had to get into therapy to figure out what was going on with me. So I was doing all of this. I was functioning okay in the world, but then I get home at night and just wonder what was happening to me. Then I found my way to the ashram in Crestone, and my life has just changed immeasurably. And now I'm beginning to share it. Like Brian, I never talked about these things. And I realized one day that's, for me to keep that secret from other people means I'm keeping it for myself. So I'm going to start speaking up and sharing. It's almost been a magical path for me.
Beautiful.
So I guess that's all I can tell you. But I feel so blessed and have so much gratitude that it happened.
Thank you, Elaine. That's so beautiful. And I haven't even heard all these parts of
Beautiful.
your story before.
Beautiful.
Elaine has also written a book now too. So she is really starting to share it. And I think it's such a beautiful thing. So I don't know
Yeah,
if that's available yet. It's still in the final stages.
yeah, 6 to 8 weeks. I actually got the formatting back today.
Great.
But yeah, I just feel strongly that we need to share these experiences and these stories, because there are so many people right now who are lost, and they're needing some kind of roadmap, and Babaji can provide that for them. So thank you.
Does anyone have a question?
Thank you, Elaine.
Yeah, thank you. Does anyone have a question for Elaine?
I do.
Uh-huh.
I do. Elaine, when did this happen actually?
In 1991.
When is 1991? Okay. Beautiful. Thank you for sharing, Elaine.
Thank you.
Really,
Thank you.
all these stories that just touched my heart already. Yeah. So helpful.
You know, Ramloti, I think it is meant to be that we are sharing these stories now for people who have not met Babaji in person. I think it is really meant to be right now to share all these stories.
I do too, Vicky. Like I said, over the last year, I've been meeting new people like you and Katyana and yeah, all these different new people, many who never met Babaji. And I've just been so touched. And so it's not only important for the people who have not met Babaji, but I know for myself, and I can only surmise for other people, the other 300 people or so that will watch this satsang on YouTube later, because not everybody can join us now because of time differences and things like that. And daylight savings has probably wreaked havoc on people's schedules anyways. But that it's important for all of us to remember Baba is here moment to moment to moment. Thank you. So who would like to share now?
I can share if you wish. So, anyone else? I don't know.
No. Go ahead, Nikki.
Do you want me to share? Okay, yeah. So, do you hear me well? Do you hear me well?
Yes.
Okay. So my name is Biggie, and I got to know about Babaji only fairly just recently. This happened on the 20th of December in 2019 when I was in Germany in my home, and I came across a video of the video was about Steve Jobs, and it said that Steve Jobs was in an ashram in India, and up to then I had no idea I had no connection whatsoever. I've been doing meditations since 2.5 years very thoroughly on a daily basis, really very thoroughly. But I had no inclination whatsoever for, ashram life or any spiritual path. So I saw this picture of Babaji, and immediately I was just like drawn so much to this picture and to this being, and I didn't know what happened really to me. It was so intense that I was just keeping on seeing his picture, and then seeing at the same time parts of his teachings, and this resonated so much with me that I just kept on searching more, and then I felt also as all of a sudden a very, very intense feeling of peace. I was just totally peaceful, but maybe half an hour later I was crying. I was crying without no reason. I had no idea what was happening with me. So, but anyway, I was this was really very strong pull, I must say. So I started to learn and read about him, and to this is also how I came to all of your videos, Ramloti. I saw all of your videos, of course. And I had at one point one day I had a dream. I woke up. It was sometime early in the morning. I woke up and I just felt that somebody was exhaling on me, exhaling on my face, and I was inhaling, and I saw Babaji's face. I knew it was it was he who was in this dream. And at the same time, I had this very intense sense of perfume. I think I told you already before that it was a very exotic perfume, and not roses, not, it was rather something like moschus or patchouli, or a very exotic scent. So that was one thing, and I started to have synchronicities, several things that just happened. I thought, okay, well, I was just thinking of him, and this and that happened. For instance, I don't know if you remember, we once spoke through WhatsApp, our first time on the phone, and right after that, and you actually you showed me the other facet of actually the facet of the Divine Mother, and I at that point at that evening I remember that I had a prayer to her, and I asked her, well, if you can, help me in this special question and condition. And I had this dream, and there was a lady, a devotee lady, definitely a Western devotee. She turned to me. She was in the ashram. There was a courtyard between us. And she turned to me and she said to me, Makandu. And I woke up in this moment, and I know that I wrote you, is this something in Hindi? Is this something, I don't know, would you be able to help me with this? And you said, well, actually nobody could. And then I figured out later on, I said to myself, well, I think this means Ma can do, because I had prayed to her. So this was also actually like a confirmation, if you will. And then my last experience, important experience for me, was while I was sponsoring a fire ceremony not so long time ago. I think you remember. Like 15 minutes later, I received, after I had sent you this sponsoring, I had received a confirmation for that I could be a how do you call this, a healie. So somebody who would receive a healing through a remote healing via, how can I say, a group healing. And this is a healing that is very searched for, and only very, very, very little, very, how can I say, I'm sorry for my English right now, very few people, sorry, okay, I got it right. Very few people have the chance really to have it. So 15 minutes later, I received this confirmation that I would have this healing over 3 days. And I was supposed to send, but this was, the application was a couple of days before, but the confirmation, I received it only after I had, this contact with you. And I had to send in a photo of mine, and the photo, I was wearing this T-shirt of Babaji, that I had ordered with you in the ashram. So yes, I mean, there are a lot of things like that happened to me ever since, and yeah, there's no day going by without Babaji.
Vicky. Thank you for sharing that.
That's beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah, so beautiful. I know all these are so close to people's hearts, and I know when I mentioned it, so for some even felt like maybe too difficult. So thank you, Vicky, for sharing them. Touches my heart. So if anybody wants to share anything or share their story, we would love this also.
I can share mine, Ramnatiji.
Oh, that would be lovely.
So, I personally feel that I have been connected to Babaji not just in this life, but in many incarnations. I've always had this feeling because, when I came on the spiritual path, this was in 97. I was in my early 20s in India, and I had read Autobiography of a Yogi by Paramahansa Yogananda. And after that, after reading the book, I was calling upon to God, to, show me, the truth. And I had a very profound experience of Kundalini awakening, which I didn't know at the time, that I had intense energy rising from the base of the spine. And I felt like something was moving up from the base, and very strong and thick energy, and it was being pulled by someone, and it would go up and release, and then it would go down, and it continued for 7 minutes. I don't remember, it was an hour, a little maybe less than that, but I felt a release of a lot of tension, and I had severe back pain because I had given birth to I know I had given birth to a child. I had 2 children at the time, and so I felt that all my pain was gone. I just thought that it was some kind of healing taking place because I didn't know it was Kundalini awakening. And I thought it's probably Yogananda. Later on, when I realized it was Kundalini awakening, that it's Paramahansa Yogananda. So I came on the path. I joined YSS in India, Yogada Ashram, and I stayed with Yogada. And then when I moved to US, I was with SRF for many years. Um, but then I had a calling in 2006 to go to Badrinarayan by Babaji. He called me to Badrinarayan. It was a very magnetic pull, and I went and had beautiful, vibrations of the Himalayas, as you know. I spent time there, and when I came back, I felt a huge shift in my life. That I felt like now Babaji started guiding me since then. So even though I stayed with the organization at SRF, I was not satisfied. I felt I'm missing something. I need to be out of the organization and look for my own path. And then my journey began to look for a living guru. I mean, of course, I loved Babaji, but I was looking, oh, maybe Babaji wants me to be with a living guru. So my search went on. Then I went to Calcutta in 2017 and met a guru there. His name is Brahmachari Swarupanand, and got Kriya initiation from him. I've already got Kriya initiation from SRF also. have been a long time practitioner. So I went and visited him like 3-4 times, got initiated into higher Kriyas, stayed with him. But Babaji is, he never wants me to be with anyone. He just pulled me out of there. Even though he made me an acharya, Kriya acharya, and asked me to teach Kriya to people, and I had started teaching. I was still teaching until recently. But Babaji doesn't want me to follow any living guru. He will just take me out from wherever I am, and I have to follow him in the end. So again, 2016, I went to Badrinath, and there in the Badrinath, I spent total 3 days in Badrinath, and I went to different, Jageshwar Dham and Dunagiri, Dwarhat, Babaji's cave. And, obviously I felt a lot of energy, intense energy in the mountains. And I never want to come back from there. But in Badrinath temple, I saw a young, beautiful youth, very beautiful, and he looked like Hadakan Baba. That time I didn't know about Hadakan Baba, but I saw he was wearing a white dhoti and he was smiling and very beautiful face. And I kept looking and thinking, oh, he looks like Babaji, should I go and talk to him? But I couldn't move my step forward. I just stayed looking at him, and and then I don't know what happens. Naga Sadhu or Aghori Baba came, gave me Rudraksh. Like 3 times he ran around the, temple of the Madhinarayan. He was running around it, doing pradakshina, and he would give me Panchmukhi Rudraksh every time he would come out. I wouldn't go after him. Many people were running, but he would come and give me the Rudraksh and go. I took it as a blessing, came back from Badinarayan, and within few months, I started seeing images of Hedikan Baba on YouTube, his Om Namah Shivaya video, mantra chanting. And I would love it, and I just enjoyed so much. And whenever I looked at him, I felt the intense energy and love flowing through me. And he felt like Shiva himself. So, I just, enjoyed his company. And finally, I found your Hedikan Ashram and information recently, which was, I think, earlier this year, maybe January, late January. And I connected with, because I felt like it is Babaji, and he's the one guiding me and
Nalini, I think we lost your, maybe you lost your feed there for a moment.
Yeah, I lost the connection.
Yeah, but another beautiful story. Hi, Nagini, good to see you. And there's Mohan's here, Artala. So maybe we'll go on and see if somebody else would like to share their story.
Did I mute?
Sure, that's good.
Yay.
Great. So,
Mute, right? Love you.
did you want to share?
Is Peggy on today?
I don't see Peggy, so I'll try to give her a call tomorrow.
Is Peggy on today?
No.
Okay, so she's not
I'm
on?
so sorry I got disconnected. Somebody had
Okay.
called me.
Okay. Do you have more?
No, but
Wait 1 moment, Nagini. So do you have, yeah, go ahead, Nalini. If you want to finish up, you can unmute.
yeah, I'm so sorry. Somebody called and I just did. I think I pressed the wrong button.
I understand.
But
I do it all the time.
yes. So anyhow, I just it was about to end that that Babaji is always with me, and his energy when he comes, he makes me very calm. And when the direction comes that I have, he'll just guide where to go, what to do. The instruction just comes, and when he comes, I just know that he's there. Now I have to just let go, and he'll be guiding from here. So Baba is with me all the time, and I'm so blessed to be with all of you. Om Namah Shivaya.
Om Namah
Om
Shivaya.
Namah
Thank you.
Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya.
So beautiful.
Thank you.
And so, yes, everyone's welcome to share their story. Nagini, did you want to share a story now? Or if somebody else would like.
So now, Shivaratri in Harakan.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. So we're going to
Can
go
you-
to
can you hear me?
Shivaratri and
Okay.
Harakan. And I'm going to put a, oh, you
Yep,
pressed
Shivaratri in Harakan before Baba left. And I was there for many years, 6 months at a time. Anyway, Shivaratri was always fun, and Prem Baba always had me help him with the bung. So I got to learn firsthand how to make a huge quantity of the green elixir. And he was just hilarious, actually. And he'd throw in cashews and honey and the bong, of course, and the hashish from the mountains. And anyway, it turned into this rich, beautiful green. And cardamom, also cardamom, yes. And whatever else he had around. And then he would take my bracelet off, the Om Namah Shivaya bracelet, and he would take his off and he'd throw those in and retrieve them afterwards. And yeah, and anyway, so then having done that for year after year, and also to make the pakora, we would, the kitchen was making the pakoras, which the fried cauliflower with the grass in it. And then after that, 1985, when Muni Raj was going around visiting all the centers, and he came to Heronswood in Seattle. And at that time, Don, Kehoe, and Kay were growing marijuana big time in a special secret room. And you couldn't even go in there without getting completely stoned. It was so intense. And so we used his best quality to make bong for everybody for Shivaratri. And wow, it was just hilarious. By the time, I think we started at noon making it, and he just assisted while I remembered everything that Prem told me, how to, whatever we had all the same ingredients, and we made this beautiful dense green liquid. Ramlodi, you were there.
I didn't have it.
Gayatri said that she had one sip and went to sleep for the rest of it.
I didn't even know about it.
Yeah, gone. Anyway, me and Don, we didn't even taste it. It was just being in the same room with it. And by the time we had finished, we were both crashed out on the bed with our arms like this. We missed the whole affair because we were just so wiped out. Anyway, it was funny. And I just wanted to share making bong with Prem Baba and how he taught me how to do that. And that was the last time I made it, was in 1985 at Don and Kay's place.
Mm.
Yep. I probably still could, but you know, any offers to have me come and do that? Anyway, that's my story. That's it.
Thank you, Nagini. I just want to tell everybody that.
Okay, I'll mute now, Ramlodi.
No, I just want to say that next Sunday at the same time, Nagini and Gayatri, who is also on today, she's still, just her picture is there, will be sharing their stories, because Nagini lived in Harakan while Baba was still in body for 8, 9, 10 years, many years, and Gayatri was there for the last few years also.
Yeah, every 6 months, yeah.
Yeah, so they'll be telling their whole story, but she thought that this might be a interesting one to interject.
Well,
People have
a little tiny bit.
Huh? Yeah. What is this?
No, I didn't say anything.
With Bong
Go ahead.
and Shivaratri? Somebody wants to share more about that?
What?
Oh, Elaine saying you can come on Shivaratri.
It had to do with Parvati.
Florida and make Bong Nagini.
Oh, good. Okay, Elaine. Sure, no problem.
So,
as long as you have all the special ingredients. Anyway, what's the connection between Bong and Shivaratri? Well, apparently Parvati created, from what I understand, Parvati created Bong for that everybody could get stoned at once, instead of all her efforts at making pipes. And I think it something like that, she created it in order to make it less stressful for her as the person who was providing all the smoke for everybody, something like that. Anybody else got something to offer?
Jerry, do you know any of this?
Anyway, that's what I heard.
Bong and Shivaratri? Pujari,
Nobody going anywhere on that one?
Pujari, you have to unmute if you have any story about that or of an understanding. I know when I was there and I wrote about not being with Babaji, he sent people out into the forest because people were afraid that I had drunk some bong, because I never even knew it was there, never. And I never took any. So I would be the person that would, take it. Actually, I'm going to tell one story real fast that Loknath shared, that his mother, who's a beautiful Christian woman, even though I share this for Lok, this is what I remember him saying. I was so touched. She came to see him in India. And she thought, he's in Bombay. I'll just go to Bombay and go to all the art exhibits and things like that. And of course, see him, but I'm not interested in his guru, right? And then for some reason, she happened to be there when Babaji came out and gave darshan. And she was just overwhelmed with the feeling of love. And her description was, it was like being with Jesus at the Sermon on the Mount. And, just so touched. And so I guess probably they then went to Wapi for Shivaratri, and there was bong. And Babaji offered his mother some bong, and Loknath standing there, and he's going, no, Mom, you don't want to take any of that. So I'm sure there's some people that took it and had interesting experiences. But I turn it over to you, Pujari. Do you know any stories or explanations around this? Can you unmute, Pujari?
Yeah, I'm unmuted. Okay. Well, I have some stories. I don't know from where it came. You have to follow the scriptures, but it is a ritual that also, even in Holland, it has been well done. I remember from my time in India, I will start from there a little bit, that it happened also to me to take some bang. And it was mostly a very beautiful experience, but also often it was becoming too much for me. And then together with the chara smoking, what was going on in the ashram, I got really confused, because there often was a very lovely circle of devotees in the evening, even after 9:30, 10 o'clock, we would sit together and a chilam would go around. And sometimes I would join, and it would give, of course, a lot of deep experience and connection with your brothers and sisters. Quiet or talking, doesn't matter, but it was a beautiful scene sometimes. And at the same time, with my practical work of being a pujari, it was becoming too difficult. I would either be too spaced out or could hardly keep my feet on the ground. It was a little difficult. So at one point, I asked Babaji about smoking. He said, no, pujari, no smoking. So he took me off that. He took me off the group to have the ritual to regularly smoke together, almost every day, every morning, every evening. He made it clear I was not part of that kind of approach. It was not for me. But at Shivaratri, it was happening as a shift in something, just to let go, look through a lot of things like if you're with Babaji and on a spiritual focus, it can have a beautiful effect. And I saw that even in the ashram in Holland, Anthony is a good one. He was every year preparing, I think for the last 20, 25 years, preparing bang and pakoras, and he was doing a very broad thing. But also he made chocolate cake. And there were always people in the ashram one year that he didn't say anything. So nobody knew it was a lot of charas in the chocolate cake. So then everybody got the strong effect from having that medicine. But we are together, so we could coach each other. But I remember even for me and Anjani also, we were in another space if you take so much of it, not knowing it even. So I remember our journey home in the early morning, 5 o'clock or something. It looked like it took 3 hours for my mind or my system, it looked like it took me 3 hours for a 5-minute ride. That had the effect of using Bang for me. So it has a strong effect. It's going on, and it is like it puts you in another state. I also had at that time in Hirakan that I was doing the puja, and I could feel my consciousness was all over the place. I was aware what's happening on Gufa side and in the office, and I think, Mama, it's just too much. This is it's too opening, and then that's why I said, well, no, it's not needed. And later, under the guidance of Muniraj, he really said, no, this is only for sadhus or very strong people, but it's not for householders. It is not a good path, because if you do it regularly, for most people, they don't lift up their spirit. They only get stuck. They don't benefit in their life from this. It's only, he very much tried to discourage people to use any charas if they were householders. If for others there might be another road, but if they have to live a life in the world and as a householder, as he did himself and Shastriji and many others said, no, this is not okay. With Shivaratri you can have that effect, but for normal householders that was not the way to go so much. That's what I want to share about this topic.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Pooh, you're a
Thank you.
lightweight.
Sorry?
My dear Pooh, you're
Tom-
already flying, darling. You don't need
He's lightweight, it's okay. So I just remembered something. It was Parvati that decided that making bong was just too difficult. It took too many things and it was too long to make and it was too difficult. That's when she created smoking for Shiva. It was just opposite of what I was thinking. So that's it.
Thank you.
That's how bong.
Well, and that might be new information for some.
Okay, I have a story.
Some of the people on the.
Hi, Nagini. Gayatri, I'm lying. You tell your side of the stories. We have
I
many
said you're a
stories
lightweight, dude.
from the elders.
Okay, so I have a story. So I was a smoker my whole life since I was like 15. But when I went to Babaji, I was like, there is no way I'm getting stoned in his presence. There's just no way. It was just already so intense. I didn't need to add anything. But one day Raghuvir brought him, I don't know, a piece of hash like this big. And so he told him to go and make something, go make a sweet, not bong, but some kind of sweet. So the next morning in the darshan, he comes with this big platter and says to distribute to everybody. And so he gave out this sweet, which was delicious, by the way. And in Hirakan, we weren't getting such great sweets except for like cookies. So I had 2. I took 2. And it had hash in it, which I didn't know. So I was working in the office at the time, and I'm trying to do my work and do whatever. And all of a sudden, I'm just feeling really weird. And I'm like, wait a minute, what's going on here? I'm either having some kind of flashback or I don't know. And so I snuck out of the office and went to Raghuvir's shop. And I said, man, I'm high as a kite. And he goes, well, of course you are. I gave you that, whatever you call it, sweet this morning. And I said, what do you mean? There was something in it? And he said, yeah, there was hash in it. And I said, oh, thank God. Now I know what's happening. But I said, but everybody got it. I said, so you mean Sheila Devi and Radha Shyam and Loknath, they're all stoned? And he goes, yes. So I thought that was so funny. I went back to the office to see how everybody else was reacting, because just the idea of them being stoned, you knew they were not the type. So it was really fun seeing it. And it was a really fun day. But I said to myself, I can't see Babaji while I'm high. I got to hide. I don't want to see him. I can see everybody else, but I don't want to be in front of him high. And I was going down the steps to go for my bath, and he was coming up. So I turned around and walked back up and went and hid in my room. It was so funny. I don't know why. The day of Samadhi was the first time I smoked a chilam in Hirakan. The day of Samadhi, I said, okay, he's left his body. And I went to the mother temple, and my dear sister Amarnath, she was painting inside the temple. And, you know, if you read my Samadhi story, he was not dead. He was everywhere that day. And I was, you know, I couldn't reckon what I was experiencing with what most of the other people were experiencing. So I went over to this temple, and my friend Amarnath, she turns around, she goes, "Strange day, huh?" That was just the funniest thing you could say on the day that Babaji leaves his body. Strange day, huh? So I knew she was having a similar understanding to me. So she said, "I think it's time you meet Prem Baba," which of course I knew him, but I'd never gone and sat with him. So I did that day. That was my first time, because I was like, okay, all bets are off today. Today is a very strange day, and I'm going to go. Oh, there was one other time that I had said to him, if it's okay that I smoke, then you give it to me. You know, I just put that out there in the ethers. And that very same night, after I made that prayer to him in Darshan, this girl Sabine from Belgium, who is now also called Gayatri, her guru in Belgium gave her that name. She comes and she says, "Gayatri, these Italian men, Kalisharam and what was his name, Patrizio, they had asked her to go get stoned with them." And she goes, "I've never smoked, and I need company. And so I'd like you to come with me." And so I thought, okay, there's my opening. You know, Babaji's sending it to me because I didn't have anything. So I was like, yes, I will go with you. So I went with her also to protect her from the Italian guys, because they were kind of, I was like, okay, they're hitting on you. I got to be, you know, help you out. So anyway, I went with her. And then after she had to go lie down, the guys went off, and I'm there in Harakan. Babaji's, oh, okay, the darshan is finished. It's late at night. I'll never forget this. I went down to the river under the kutir, and I sang the song from My Fair Lady, on the street where you live. And I sang it to Babaji. "I have often walked down this path before." I changed a little bit to adapt it for Harakan. And I had the best time. I was laughing so hard serenading him down from the river. I just thought, well, he knows when I get stoned, I get giddy. So, I mean, it's okay. And I just had it. That was a beautiful night. He did give me one experience, the okay for one experience. But other than that, I never smoked, because it was just, you needed all your wits to catch every little, you know, thing that was happening. So, you know, anyway.
Thank you, guys.
And I did have that bong, and it did make me go to sleep. So I'll never touch that stuff again. I don't like to go to sleep. So that was my Shivaratri. Thank you, Nagini.
Thank you. So like I said, next week, Gayatri and Nagini will be here for the whole hour and a half, and you can ask their stories and questions. So I do want to make sure that I know there's a few people that wanted to share their stories, that there's time for everyone. Particularly, I don't know if Katerina, are you feeling, or Makundi, Milvi, some of you folks I know have stories that you share.
Katerina?
You want to share?
I have to unmute. Okay. You hear me well?
We can.
Okay, so hearing your stories, I can relate to my story. Well, the end of that story is feeling high, like what you're saying now, high, and so open but my story actually starts very sad. I heard about, I mean, I got my hands on the autobiography when I was about 16, and then I also went to India in 2001, and I was fortunate enough to go to the home of Shastriji. But all those experiences up to the one I will tell now were at best mystical, nothing more than just, you know, mystical experience. But first I have to talk about the pain to get to that end of the story where it's all love and feeling high. So the biggest pain and the wound in my life happened when I was 21, and I was studying at a university in the US, and my family was back home in Croatia. And I got a phone call one day, and they tell me, you know, you have to come home. you have to come for the funeral. Your little sister committed suicide.
Mm.
So as I get home, I learn, yeah, this was 20 years ago, and it's still, it's raw. It's really raw. So I learned that, you know, she went out with her friends one night, and she just came back very late and just set my father off, and he got violent with her, and he basically beat her up. And he wasn't often a violent man, but then when he was, he would hit a child like the child was a grown man. So 3 days after he was violent with her, she committed suicide. And my little brother, who was 11 at the time, was coming back from school, and he actually is the one that found her hanging in the kitchen. So just the relationship with my father, who could never own up to any of this, or, you know, we couldn't find any point of healing, or, you know, just resolution or anything. And then my mother, from the day my sister died, I mean, she's alive, but she's not living. So I will get now to the story, which, you know, many things led to it, and the whole experience was about 2 hours long, but I will just get to the most beautiful and the most important parts. So what happened on the night last year, on the 16th of October, during the fall Navratri, in the night, the Divine Mother came to me, and basically it was an invitation to fall into her arms, and I did. And she took me on a journey, and she showed me, first I saw myself in a womb, and then she's taking me on this journey, and she's showing me my life, and we're just dancing together, and she whispers in my ear, "I'm not like your mother. I am joyful and I'm happy." And I just get this trust, and I feel like I'm falling even more and more in her arms, and I start feeling this joy and this pleasure, and it just moves up, and it's just a dreamy, nice dance. And then all of a sudden she pulls away abruptly, and from this dreamy state, I feel like when somebody wakes you up in the morning with just like a strong light, and you're like, you know, what's happening? And in a more stern voice, she tells me, "The game is over." And at that point, I don't understand what it means, and the setting is different. I feel like I'm in a kind of a waiting room. And as I'm trying to make any sense of this, I see from the side like a veil or curtain falling down. And I try to make sense of that, and I realize it is him. It is Babaji. And I don't see him, but my whole body, he's in every cell of my body. And I'm shaking now again, because this only happened 5 months ago. I'm still trying to figure out what happened and just, you know, bring it down. And I'm shaking. I'm out of my mind. I go through all the emotions of, I cannot believe this is happening. I cannot believe my luck. I knew it. I always knew it. This will happen. And I'm just trying to, you know, just calm down. And I'm scratching my face like this, like, calm down. I go through all the emotions. I'm completely out of my mind. And as I calm down, I don't see him, but I know he's accompanied by others, and the whole scene gets very ceremonial. And at that moment, I realize that from the father I have in this life, my earthly father, to this, I realize this is my real father, and my real father is the king, and he's the king of hearts. So as I'm standing in front of him, he tells me, today is your birthday. And I feel the only thing I can put it in words is, you know, he opened my heart, the opening of the heart. And I'm falling back. And from this point, from the inside, from the depths of me, I feel this such strong desire and yearning for him. And as I'm professing this and I'm professing my love, he starts changing me. And I really feel like female, male, female, male. I'm changing. And he tells me, lifetime after lifetime, you were always mine and I was always yours. And to me, it was just the most beautiful, the most beautiful love story in the universe. So many other things happened, but as the experience was going towards the end, I get instructions from him, and some were just, not just, but some were basic life truths, some were not a secret, but I just felt like, you know, it's just between me and my beloved. And then there was one instruction that was very clear, where he said, you will go to Ramloti. And I didn't know where you live. I didn't know where to start the search, but I looked online. I see, okay, there is an ashram in Colorado, and I joined every Babaji Facebook group out there, and I go to Ramloti. Bole Baba ki jai. That's my story. I was afraid to talk just because how I feel inside, the words I hear myself saying all this, and how I feel inside, and the love I feel, and the connection to all of you, I cannot put it into words. And when I heard Delaine say at the beginning that she realized she needs to speak, or she's holding this experience from her, then I knew I really had to speak. And I'm still, I think, shaking, because I cannot even relay that experience and the feeling from the inside. But I know, you know, it's going to take me maybe this whole lifetime to learn from the experience and just to make sense of any of it. But yeah, that was my instruction. And I still plan to come to you physically also. We will see. I hope it happens very soon. I just want to say I feel so connected to all of you, and in that experience, he told me, you have new sisters and brothers. I lost my sister, but I really feel like I have new sisters and brothers in all of you, and I love you so much. And I know that all of you are me and I am you.
Beautiful.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I've never heard this story. Thank you for sharing.
Beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Thank you for being so courageous and sharing. How wonderful.
And our lives are such, you know, so mysterious, these lives we have and journeys we're on. Thank you. And who would know? Thank you. I'm glad you're here with all of us, with our arms around you.
I just wanted to say one more thing. You know, when the Divine Mother told me the game is finished, it's definitely not finished. The Lila is at full force, but it's a different kind of game. It's the game of hearts. It's the game of love. Sometimes, you know, feel like I barely make it through the day. Sometimes I feel it a little bit. Sometimes the day comes when my heart is so open, and this love and the connection with him, it's so subtle, and then it gets so overwhelming, and then it gets so much, I feel like I can't even handle this anymore, and it just rolls into more and more, and it's so much, I wouldn't even be able to speak to you, to even say the words of how some days feel. And so it's a different game, but I don't know how to put it into words. If I had the gift to paint or write, I would. I just feel it's so much is inside me, and we'll see how that how that goes. So thank you.
Just trust in Baba and Mother's guidance. They'll always be there. We're so fortunate. Thank you. Thank you. So someone else would like to share their story, or a moment, or an experience, or a question, anything?
I would like to say something, Ramloti. Actually, I think it was Radha Shyam who said this, that Babaji is or was his devotional obsession. And I think for me, I can say it's certainly the case, and maybe for others as well. I think it was him who said that. I'm not quite sure, but I think so. And this makes it so true for me also.
A devotional obsession. That's beautiful. Certainly is mine. My head straight, my mind, that is mine too. And then I go to the other story where my mind starts running around and things to do and what I think I need to do. And but the mantra and the practices are so great. I'm so grateful for them. So to help bring me back to what is, for me, the real story. The story of Baba and Mother, and guiding our lives, our paths, whispering on our ears or our heart.
Yeah.
The next step.
Yeah.
Mukundi, do you feel like sharing? Seems like a beautiful segue, because I know you're taking a huge step right now in France. And if not,
Yes.
that's fine too. I understand it's been already a very emotional time.
Yeah. So it's also a big thing for me to share. So thank you for all who shared before. And I will not go through all the story, but my story started when I was small, and I used to read a lot the gospel, and with the story of Jesus, I was very touched, because many people didn't recognize him. In fact, there was in the gospel, you see that very few were following him, and many were criticizing him, or even he was put on the cross. And so one day I had this prayer, just God, please, if you send someone like this, let me recognize this person. Because I had really the feeling that it's God's grace that you can recognize such a being. And that was one time, and then my life was at one point when I was just small and young. I was very religious and very much involved in the church. And at one point, I disagreed with the religion, and I turned completely my back to religion and to God, because I thought it was going together, that it was a package. And if you drop the religion, you cannot, you drop God also. And I had no clue of other religion, or I thought it was like finished for me. And years after, I came to know about the autobiography of a yogi, but I was forced to buy it because I didn't want to buy it. In fact, I used to go in a shop regularly and take always books because I love books. And the shopkeeper one time, she told me, "Oh, this book, you should buy it. It's very good. You will like it." And so, and I looked at the cover and I found it so awful. So I said, "No, this book never." And I just let it and I go. And perhaps 1 month later, I go back, and again the shopkeeper. She tried again. Usually she knew I would buy books, so it was not about selling me something. And she started with this book, you should read it, very good. So I take it a little bit more, I open it, yes, but I didn't take it at this time also. And the third time I went, some months again, she speaks again about this book. And then I thought there's something not normal. I just take it because there's something with this book. And then I bought it. I was very touched. And of course, there was this part about Babaji. I was so touched and I read it twice. And then I went back to the bookshop and she opened the book and she saw me Babaji drawing and she said, "I meditate every day in front of him, every day." Like, I don't know, to make me understand something. But for me, it was meditation and everything was so far from me that I just put the book on the shelf and I forgot it. And because also Himalaya, and it was like it could have been on the moon, it was a bit the same. So it was really far from my life. And 1 or 2 years later, I started rebirthing and met Leonard Orr, and he spoke about Babaji. And then it was clear that it was the same than in the book. And it was like, no doubt, nothing. But then I saw that Babaji was not anymore in his body. So I thought, okay, it's finished also. It was just a hope. And the year after, I started a rebirthing training. And then in the rebirthing training, they spoke about that they would make an arti for the Mahasamadhi evening. And so I felt drawn to go there. And I heard the arti for the first time. And then I was just, it caught me just with the artis. And I went every arti. And in the same year, I went to India. And I thought really it was Babaji's grace that he made me found him in this way. And for this, I'm really grateful. And it's a long time ago, and I was going often to the Navaratri, but I'm someone quite slow of checking how the community is. I'm not very fast in going involved, because when I'm involved, I don't drop it. So I want to be sure. And slowly, I committed more and more. And I was, 12 years ago, I became the chairperson of the French Samaj. And then we had, for many years, there's this project of an ashram in France, even before I was there. I think in the French Samaj, it's been 30 years that the project is talked about and not done yet. And I tried, and there was always obstacles. We had no money, and people at one point were not interested. And then I thought, okay, if people don't like it, I go to Herakan and I check myself if I like it or not. Or perhaps after they will be quiet. I will be quiet also and not always speak about an ashram. And 4 years ago, I went for the first time for a long time, 2 months in Herakat. And I love it so much, I stayed 4 or 5 months. And in the end, I went back as soon as possible. And I almost spent the last 4 years there. And when I came back in August, and in the French Samad, I spoke about the project of ashram, and this time, like, it's opening, everybody say, okay, yes, let's do it. And so now we are on this, and the step that we have now we have enough money to buy something, and we want to translate the book of Pritam, because it's really good to show to people who are perhaps a bit afraid of some aspects, or it's very well presented. And so the idea, we translate it now in the coming weeks. And then I plan to go with a little van or something through France to find the place, because through internet it's like not really working. So I really think I have to go through France to check the place with the book, to show the book also, so that I have the feeling it will open doors. So that's where I am now. And yes, it's such very strong to be with Babaji, and something is not alive, but once you commit to him, it's really like he's there. Or the moment I started, I dropped really everything to go to Herakan. It was like all my life was easy to do that. And in fact, I have not to worry about the rest, because Babaji takes care, and I have just to work for him. So it's really a great feeling. And at the same time, it's like once you are really committed, it puts you also through challenges. So it's it push you to your limit, like one challenge after the other, and really to places where you would not go otherwise. I have really the feeling of the training to make me stronger and more steady in my devotion and everything. But it's quite, I find sometimes quite tough, I must say. Once it was a physical challenges, and I went through, and it was, and after I had a blessing, and then comes the next one, and really also pushing you to do things, and yes, learning to be connected without the approval of others. So I went through things. I know I was not liked and disapproved by many, and especially when I was in Herakan, and to learn to just stay with Babaji, the inside voice, and continue. And it was quite strong. But the feeling also when the test is passed with rewards also, it's still working like that. Even if it's not in his body, it's still, once you commit, it's, and like experience also, I found it beautiful experience, not like vision, but sometimes it's like when you must surely in the ashram, in all ashram know it, when you work so much and at one point you cannot anymore, you have normally no more energy, and you surrender to do more. And at one point you feel really it's not you who is working, it's the divine through you, because you normally would go just lay down or be exhausted, and this feeling is really great. this feeling I love, and I'm sure you know what I'm speaking about if when you're in an ashram. And yes, yeah, and I'm really grateful to Babaji, and I really feel as his student, and yes. What about Babaji, Jay? Another thing, just a short one. When I was in Herakan, I worked in the office, and it was so great to see all the new people and how they came to Babaji. And some they meet him in a field, on the metro platform or something like that. He appears to people. He's still calling them the same that he called the other devotee, and it's really yeah. He's still there. He's still around. He's still sometimes making appearing to people or talking to people, and yeah. He's there. He's there for sure. Whatever Ki Jai.
Baba Ki Jai.
Merci beaucoup.
Merci. Oh, it's such a powerful time together with everybody. Thank you. We're a little over our time. If somebody has a strong desire to talk, you can share. Otherwise, we'll reconvene next week with Gayatri and Nagini. And somebody wants to share something, you can all unmute now. It's unmute time.
Much love to everybody. Oh, Katarina, I loved listening to you. That was so beautiful. Thank you. Yeah. Everybody, Elaine, everybody, Nagini, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. And I love that we're getting all this snow, guys. You lucky you.
So much snow in Colorado.
Yay!
And I want to say that we'll do another one, an open one, maybe in a month, because I have a feeling that there's a few people like Sita just got on, Starry, and there's just many people, Mohan, Avanish, there's so many people who have come to Babaji in so many different ways, or have, whether you call it Babaji or some other spiritual guidance. And I promise we'll have David and Lorraine on when we do the ashram one in 3 weeks, because they have stories that are just so incredible. Anyway, I get too excited. I can hardly wait from week to week.
Ramloti, I was talking to Sitarami yesterday, so she might be somebody to ask on at some point. Sitarami.
I've been thinking of that, yes.
Yeah, I reached out to her yesterday.
Wonderful. And this is what's happening in these times, that we're touching in with so many devotees that we haven't connected with for years. It's very special. So great. Thanks, Gayatri. Anybody that reaches out or anybody that wants to, we'll make more weekends in the year so that we can have lots of time with devotees. I want to share also just deep gratitude. I'm so touched and moved, and yeah. Anybody else want to share anything before we?
Thank you, Ramloti.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, it's very impressive. It's very impressive to hear the people who've not met Babaji, their heart-touching stories. It's the same miracle how Baba called us. If I hear Katrina, hear all your stories, Elaine, looking forward to the book. It's such precious that you can express yourself and that we can share and really feel like one-on-one we are just one bunch of Babaji lovers. And it's growing and it's flourishing, and the new people will really bring a lot of fresh love and juice and understanding. Very beautiful. Very thankful for sharing your stories. So happy to be part of this fanatic devotional Babaji group.
Yeah. And the devotion and the commitment, and like that I hear from people who, are newer to all, it just touches me so much. Inspires me when, yeah.
Yes, and I also want to thank Mukundi for all her seva and devotion, because she's dabbled. She's been working all over the place. So thank you so much, love, for how you throw yourself wholeheartedly into it. And we're really praying for your ashram to come together in a beautiful way. Easy.
We'll have a Guru Purnima in France one of these times, because often
Yes,
every
exactly.
year we go to the different ashrams, and that's one of my goals. Is the weekend after Gayatri and Nagini, we're going to focus on the German ashram with many of their people there, particularly Neelam and Sarah Dumbe, but other people who are there, maybe something from Saraswati. She's quite old now. But then we'll do the Harakana, the ashram here in Crestone with so many people are involved. Gayatri, David, Lorraine. I mean, I don't know, we might have to go on for hours on that one. And then we want to go to the Holland one, and hopefully Pujari will be there as one of the founders, and Bhaskar. And so that's just, and then on and on like that, so that we'll know each of the ashrams better, so that when we go there, we just have more of a heart connection. So. And I just want to say one more thing. I'm sorry it's all going so long, but Mukundi, when you talked about going through health issues, if I can share that, when you had a detached retina, when you were in India in Haraka, and I went to visit you in Old Delhi in a little hostel where you had to lie with your hair, face like this. I don't know how long. I just couldn't even believe the steadfast devotion and faith you had. I thought, oh my gosh, how can this poor woman, I'm just, yeah, I'm so inspired and inspired by so many people and their devotion and love. So.
Yeah, this was really the health test. the physical test, because it was really, yeah.
So I think once again, some of us are in this Srimad Devi Bhagavatam study group, Milvi and Biggie and Elaine and a few other people, and we're just reading about a horrible story about King Harishchandra, but that's what it's about, is that life sometimes it does have a very challenging times, and some of us are in it now, some of us have been in it, but our faith and devotion and Baba's love is what carries us through. So thank you all for sharing.
Allora.
Thank you.
Till next week. Bole Baba Ki Jai.
You
Thank
all
you.
have
Baba
Jai Mahamaya
Yay.
Ki Jai.
Love you all.
Bye,
Om
Rita.
Namah Shivaya.